Grand Rising. The Most High is exposing absolutely everything today. So now they're talking about who's going to be the new pope. Now they're showing these people that are, the front runners for who are going to be the new pope. But see, even in this now, it's exposing their history. See, there's one group of people that apparently is unqualified to be a pope. There's one group of people that is unqualified to be the pope or the head of the church of Satan. Now, I'm going to show you a quick picture about the ones that they say are the front runners. And, they all come from a particular area. And there's been one group of people that the church has said is not human. They're subhuman. They were actually good to be chattel slavery. They're good to be looked at as possessions. And those people were not allowed to be in any positions of authority in the church from the inception of the church until now, right? And so it just confirms what we were learning about the Pacific slave trade. How, they were bringing the Chinos over here and they were all fighting to be considered Native American because none of them wanted to be considered Negroes because Negroes were considered not to be human. So since you see but the Pope has been apologizing to these so-called fake pretendians and everything else, and never apologized to the true people of the lands, because see, those are the ones that were kept out of any positions. They weren't allowed to be baptized. They were not allowed to be part of the church, and that still has plagued the church even till today. And it's evident by who I show you who the front runners are right now. So as you can see right here, you have a so-called white person here on the left. You got a Filipino who's now, right there, another white person here. And of course, as always, you got your one token Hamite right here, who's not a Negro, who's part of the Hamitic line. And again, another white person here. So what you have right here is what we've been talking about the whole time. The three parts are represented by these people right here. You got the European, you got the Hamite, and you got the Asian. The three parts. Those are the only people that are eligible to really be the front runners to be in charge of the church of Satan, which then goes back to 1 Nephi 13, talking about how this church, this abominable church, was set up across the waters, which would be over there in the three parts. And these are the only people that apparently seem to be the only ones that are capable of running the church of Satan, the abominable church. You had to be either European, African, right? European, African, or Asian. And that is, again, showing you exactly how this has been working out this whole time. The only people that aren't, I guess, qualified to be the leader of the Church of Satan would be so-called Negroes. And see, it's always the same black people they always want to use. They always want to use the Hamites to represent black people. But the Hamites and the so-called Negroes are not the same people. Because why isn't the fourth part represented here? Because the fourth part represents us, represents the Most High's chosen people. So just showing you right here that we're not even eligible. We're not even, I thought this was a universal church. How come you guys don't actually, talk about so-called Negroes being, forerunners to be popes? Maybe it's because your churches have this whole time done everything to keep us at the bottom. They didn't allow us to be baptized. We were only good for slavery. In fact, you guys made the most brutal slavery, which would be chattel slavery, where, our people were, it was womb law. So whatever the mother is, that's what the children were. You did that conveniently in order to keep us in perpetual servitude. So see, even the people that you're picking now to be the head of the church is now exposing you even more. So see, apparently your church isn't universal. It's only universal for Psalms 83. That is why, like, you see all these people who are now out here, mourning for the Pope. Who are these people that are mourning? It'll be the so-called Europeans. It's going to be Africans. And it's going to be Asians, immigrants that were able to come over here and take advantage of the resources here in America. I said they're mourning because the Pope was praying for them and pretty much was the one that gave them an opportunity to come over here and take the dainties of our lands and enjoy all of the all of the things that we have over here, all the great things, all the opportunities. Again, these opportunities, how did you get these opportunities? By taking them from us, the people who were the original people here in the fourth part, and giving it to the immigrants, giving it to everyone else. See, you Europeans did it all first. You guys were able to come in here and steal all the lands and get all the resources for yourself. And then you wanted people to come over here and worship you and create this utopian society. There was somehow a melting pot, but it's only a melting pot for Psalms 83. It's not a melting pot for the so-called Negroes. We've always been left out. And what's crazy is right now is that all these people, are just ignoring the fact that this church is absolutely racist. You're ignoring their history. You're ignoring all the horrible things that they've done. You're ignoring what the institution has done. Okay, and that was all part, I guess, apparently of the plan, right? You get dainties, you get get the so-called, you get the things that we were promised. You get them, but you keep your mouth shut. And even now, when you're exposed, you still don't say anything. How many times have you seen stories about what your priests have been doing to little boys, what they've done to the so-called Native Americans, and you still go to church? And in fact, you guys talk about how the Pope is in heaven right now. How in the hell would you figure that? He's the head of an organization that raped, robbed, murdered, and stole, took everything from the Israelites, gave them false identity, put them in perpetual servitude, and still to this day, 2025, has not admitted what they've done to our people. And you think that somehow the Most High would reward him with going to heaven when he dies? Did he seem like he was about ready to go to heaven? Didn't it seem like he was terrified because of what he saw? Because remember, just like when babies are born, they still have closer ties to the spirit realm. So sometimes they'll be staring at like little corners, they'll be staring at things will be fixating to them because they can still see that spirit realm. Just like when people get older and they get closer to dying, they're getting further away from this matrix, and they're able to see more of the spirit realm. And what was they saying about the stories about what the Pope was seeing when he was in bed, when he was really close to dying? That he was terrified because of there was portals to hell opening up by his bed. Now, what do you think is going to happen to a people who support this mess and just have a blind eye to everything? Just turn a blind eye to their horrible history. You guys know their history. You people who go to these churches, you all know the history. It's like we showed you that clip yesterday, in the video yesterday, when they were asking that pastor, they were talking about how, you guys said that the so-called black people here had the curse of Ham and it was their black skin or their, and their noses. And he says, we're just not going to talk about that. That's behind us. Well, it's not behind you. It's in front of you. Because that is what you're going to have to pay for. That is your future. It's not behind you. You don't get to just forget about it. The Most High has kept a ledger of everything. So it's not just the Pope who's burning right now. It's not the Pope who's just going to be in torments right now. It's going to be all you who keep on ignoring what your churches have done. Your silence is compliance. So again, showing you the people that they're saying are the front runners, they're all part of the three parts. They're part of what they, the world that they had before they came over here. Right? They're Asia, Africa, and Europe. Those are the people that they say are the forerunners, because that church is a church of Satan. That church was, again, if you go to 1 Nephi 13, the Book of Mormon, it tells you that everyone gives praise to that church because they took down the Israelites. And you see that even till today. Like, no matter what the Pope does, no matter what the priests do, you guys still give them your homage. You still give them their loyalty. So it's not because they're loving. It's not because they're saintly. It's not because they do the right thing. The only reason you give them your praise and worship is because they took down our people and gave you the opportunity to enjoy the dainties. And that is evident by the fact that no matter how much dirt we dig up on the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, and we bring out to you, you ignore it. You act like you didn't hear it. You act like it doesn't matter. When all of those things happen, when you break all the commandments and you act like somehow that doesn't matter, oh, they're just human. So see, that's to you because you don't believe in the laws. You don't believe in the 10 Commandments. Because if you did, you would hold your leaders to account. But you don't. So the only reason that you give praise and honor and worship to your church is not because they teach you anything. It's not because they're holy. It's not because they follow the laws. It's not because they follow the 10 Commandments. It's only because they took down the Israelites. And those are the so-called Negroes that you see today here in these lands over here in the fourth part. But now that's not going to work out too well because it's not your past now. This is your future. and payment is due. Shalom.